Imagine being trapped in a life you never chose. Day after day, your body is pushed to the limit, your voice silenced, your dreams chained down. This was the reality for the Israelites in Egypt. But their story doesn't end in slavery. It becomes one of the greatest stories of freedom, courage, and God's unstoppable power. Today, we're stepping into the story of Moses and the Exodus, a story that still speaks to us today. The Israelites had once entered Egypt as honored guests during the time of Joseph. But generations passed, and a new Pharaoh rose up who didn't remember Joseph, didn't care about the past, and saw the Israelites as a threat. Their growing numbers made Pharaoh afraid. So he enslaved them. From dawn to dusk, they worked in the blazing sun, building cities, hauling bricks, enduring whip after whip. Their cries for mercy filled the air. And yet, the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied. It was as if nothing could crush the promise God had placed on them. Pause, softer tone. Maybe you've felt that way too, crushed by life, but deep down, knowing your story isn't finished. In this dark time, a baby was born. Pharaoh had ordered all Hebrew baby boys to be killed, but this child was hidden by his mother for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she placed him in a basket and set it afloat on the Nile River. It drifted into the hands of Pharaoh's own daughter, who looked at the baby and felt compassion. She named him Moses, meaning drawn out of the water. Ironically, the boy who should have died in the Nile was raised in Pharaoh's palace, educated among royalty. God was already setting the stage. Years later, Moses saw the suffering of his people and longed to help. But when he acted on his own, things went terribly wrong. He killed an Egyptian taskmaster and had to flee into the wilderness. There, in the quiet life of a shepherd, far away from Egypt's palaces, Moses encountered something extraordinary. A bush, engulfed in flames, yet not burning up. And from it, God spoke. "Moses, I am sending you to Pharaoh. Bring my people out of Egypt." Moses resisted. He felt unworthy, unqualified. But God's answer was simple. "I will be with you." And that was enough. So Moses returned to Egypt, trembling but obedient. He stood before Pharaoh with his brother Aaron at his side and spoke the words God had given him. "Let my people go." Pharaoh laughed. He tightened his grip, making the slaves work even harder. But then came the signs, the plagues, each one showing that the so-called gods of Egypt were powerless before the God of Israel. Water turned to blood. Frogs, gnats, flies filled the land. Livestock died. Boils broke out. Thunder, hail, and locusts destroyed the fields. Darkness covered Egypt like a heavy blanket. Each time, Pharaoh hardened his heart. Until the final plague, the death of every firstborn son. God gave his people a way of escape. Each family was to sacrifice a lamb and paint its blood on their doorposts. When the angel of death passed through Egypt, the blood would be a sign, and their homes would be spared. That night was both terrifying and holy. Cries rose up from Egyptian homes as death swept the land. But where the blood was on the door, there was life. This moment became known as Passover, a picture of God's mercy, a shadow of a greater deliverance yet to come. Pharaoh finally broke. He told the Israelites to go, and after 400 years of slavery, they left, a nation on the move, carrying God's promises with them. But Pharaoh changed his mind. He gathered his army, his horses, and his chariots, and thundered after them. The Israelites soon found themselves trapped between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea. Fear gripped their hearts. Had God brought them out just to die here? Moses cried out to God, And God answered, "Lift up your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea." And when Moses obeyed, the waters split apart. Walls of water rose up on both sides, and a dry path appeared right through the sea. The Israelites walked across, every man, woman, and child, surrounded by God's miracle. Pharaoh's army followed. But when the last Israelite set foot on the other side, the waters crashed back down, swallowing the chariots, the horses, the soldiers. In one mighty act, God delivered his people. On the other side of the sea, safe and free, the Israelites lifted their voices in worship. "The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation." Miriam, Moses' sister, picked up a tambourine, and the women danced, celebrating the God who had set them free. Life lessons and impact. The story of Moses and the Exodus isn't just something that happened thousands of years ago. It's a mirror, reflecting truths we can still see in our lives today. Let's pause and draw out a few lessons that make this story so powerful for us right now. Think about the Israelites in slavery. They cried out, and for years, it probably felt like nothing was changing. But God heard. He was already working behind the scenes, preparing Moses, setting the stage for freedom. In our own lives, we often pray and wonder, is God listening? Why isn't he doing anything? The Exodus reminds us that silence is not absence. God hears, he cares, and his timing, though often mysterious, is always perfect. The Israelites couldn't free themselves. They didn't have an army. They didn't have weapons. But God broke their chains with his power. We may not be enslaved in Egypt, but people today still know what it's like to be trapped in fear, addiction, bitterness, or guilt. This story points us to the truth. Freedom doesn't come by our own strength. Real freedom comes from God. Standing at the Red Sea, the Israelites thought they were doomed. Ahead was the sea, behind was Pharaoh's army. From a human point of view, there was no way out. But God specializes in the impossible. He opened a path no one saw coming. And maybe that's what you need to remember today. When your back is against the wall, when every option seems closed, God is still able to make a way. After they crossed the sea, the Israelites didn't just run ahead into the wilderness. They stopped, they sang, they celebrated. Their first response to freedom was worship. It's a reminder for us. Don't just rush past the blessings in your life. Pause. Give thanks. Celebrate what God has done. Gratitude fuels faith for what's still ahead. Here's something we often miss. The Exodus wasn't just about leaving Egypt. It was about becoming God's people, learning to trust him in the desert, and moving toward the promised land. Freedom is never just an escape. It's an invitation. God sets us free so we can walk with him, so we can grow, so we can step into the purpose he has for us. So, what does the story of Moses and the Exodus mean for us today? It means no chain is too heavy, no enemy too strong, no sea too wide for God to overcome. It means the God who delivered Israel is the same God who still delivers us. And just like them, when we experience his power, our response should be the same: to trust him, to walk with him, and to lift our voices in gratitude and praise.